What's up, Hooligan Squad? Monday, we got a vlog to shoot today. We got a lot of shit to also get into for this vlog. We're going to get into some MMA talk. We're going to get into other stuff that I can't really remember off the top of my head right now because I'm like just waking up. But I promise we have a lot to talk about. Mixed martial arts has been a bit of a crazy world lately. Within 72 hours, there's been a laundry list of events. So I got to dive into that. Yeah, let's keep it simple. Roll the intro. Oh yeah, this happened yesterday. So now I gotta redo the green screen area. I actually think I might be able to do a way where it's gonna be better, like to the wall and everything. Still frustrating. Kaiju's coming downstairs. Still a little frustrating to deal with, obviously, but yeah, my secondary plan for it may work better. I guess we'll see. Okay, gonna chill, watch the new Walking Dead episode. We'll get into some thoughts and everything about it. I love breaking down these episodes and getting in like depth about certain things about them. I can't wait for Game of Thrones to come back. I just can't wait.
2,000 years later.
Alright, just finished watching the Walking Dead episode. Fuck, this was super intense. I really liked this one. There's going to be spoilers, so here's your chance to skip to this time if you don't want to hear spoilers from this episode. 3, 2, 1. If you're still here, it's your fault. Bam. So right away, I love this scene where we actually see King Ezekiel enter the room, and he's just in his normal clothes, you know what I mean? Dreads tied back and everything, just got out of bed. And you see how exhausting it is for him to get into this character of King Ezekiel. And we kind of reflect on on his struggle with this a lot in this episode. I loved it. It showed how good of an actor Carrie Payton was as well. So we continue off from last week's episode where the Saviors just gunned down a bunch of the Kingdom guys and ladies, right outside of the little base, and basically it's just walkers everywhere. What I love is we go from seeing King Ezekiel give his motivational speech and everybody is crowding around him with love. And then the scene switches to those same people are over top of him dead. And you just see bodies everywhere. He wakes up and he realizes he's the only survivor in this area right now, or so that he knows. And he's surrounded by the dead. He's kind of surrounded by this reality of this world that he's in, where you can't pretend you're a king or anything like that anymore. It's you and the zombies. What I like too is honestly seeing Carol back in her badass state. It was just, how can you not love Carol when she's on her badass things? You know what I mean? Come on. So one of the Saviors actually is still around, and he's trying to get King Ezekiel to this base or whatever. This is a nod to the comics. King Ezekiel doesn't make it very far in the comics, but that Savior that has him kind of hostage for the brief moments, he says Negan wanted me to chain you to the fence, but your head on a pike will do just fine. And that's exactly what happens during the Whisperer, I don't want to say storyline or whatever, the Whisperer era in the Walking Dead comics. Rosita and King Ezekiel both end up with their heads on a stake. So, I don't know, cool little nod to the comics. And another thing I actually found interesting is the 50 caliber guns that Rick was looking for and had in his notes. That's the ones that was used to take out the Kingdom soldiers. So their goal was actually used against them. We see Rick and Daryl have that badass little action scene where they chase down the truck and killed the driver or whatever. And I honestly feel there's a rift being made between Rick and Daryl. I feel Daryl, in a way, Daryl really hasn't ever been this 100% good guy. If you remember in the first season, he definitely came off more. He was walking that fine line between good guy and bad guy in a way, as far as like his choices and how he felt about the world and other people. And I feel like his time with the Saviors and in this war is kind of bringing that back up. So there's going to be a riff between him and Rick as this season goes on. So we'll see what happens. But they did get the 50 caliber guns, so that's good. So at one point, the Savior actually is about to kill King Ezekiel as he's laying on the ground, and Jerry slices him in half with the axe. And they're like right outside this fence. They're trying to get in. Jerry's hitting it with hitting the chain and everything with his axe, and ends up actually breaking because he tried to use it as a lever kind of thing to break. Oh, it was so intense. Carol's coming out of the base and everything, fucking having a little shootout, and she notices them. And at first, when it first showed it, I thought they were actually being eaten. I thought that's how they ended their characters off, which, I don't know, that kind of would have sucked. But they didn't. It was all, they survived that little thing. And it's even, as they're making, their escape and everything, they go into this forest that has a barrel that all it says is dangerous substance. So I don't know if those zombies were radiated or what was going on. We'll see if that has any other effects later. But either way, we see just walkers coming towards them and everything in this little area. And that's when Ezekiel finally just drops the king. And Jerry's saying, I can't leave you, your majesty, you're my king. And he snaps. He says, no, I'm not your king. I ain't anything. I'm just some guy. Which some guy is the title of this episode. Shiva comes in at the last minute to save them, though. And this was actually super sad. We see, Game of Thrones spoiler. But then again, if you're, I don't know. Game of Thrones spoiler. One of the dragons, meets an untimely death, I guess you could say. I don't know. But either way, it's super sad in these shows. Shiva ends up dying, protecting King Ezekiel. And there's a thing I'm going to mention with that scene. But even with Game of Thrones, when one, the dire wolves, when one of them dies, we feel for these animals as if they are characters, you know what I mean? So earlier in the episode, King Ezekiel was talking about how when he was a zookeeper, he saw Shiva bleeding in her enclosure, and it wasn't an instinct to just go save her. You know what I mean? It was just he was afraid. He had to conjure up the bravery to go and help her. But with this scene, when she's being eaten by the walkers, being attacked and everything, there's no hesitation. He's trying to go and save her. He's reacting on an instinct within him. And I thought that was another really interesting thing, a parallel, you know what I mean? When Ezekiel and Jerry and Carol all get back to the kingdom, you see that Ezekiel's just a broken man right now, you know? I don't know what we're gonna see from his character. I hope we see more, because this episode, like I said, Carrie Payton, if you didn't think he was a good actor before, this episode for me, there's so many little subtle things, but they're so good. Seeing him show that exhaustion from having to start putting this character on, you know what I mean? From going from talking about I didn't have the instinct to save her, that wasn't, you know what I mean, to instantly wanting to save her and get her away from the walkers. It's Carrie Payton, even when he says I'm not your king, I'm not nothing, just a really good episode all around. Next episode, we actually see what happens with Negan and Gabriel. Forgot his name for a second. And it looks intense. I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. And I don't know. I think they're on to the Saviors. I think they're catching on to Dwight. But they could suspect Eugene. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah. Oh. And one more thing for this whole Walking Dead thing. I don't know if I noticed this through the other episodes. I know the first episode, the Walking Dead title was nice and bright and white. With this episode, at least I noticed, really, really, really deteriorated. Looking dead and everything. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. All right, now skip to that time if you're not into MMA talk and everything like that, because we're about to get into the craziness that has happened within a 72-hour period. Okay, so within 72 hours, 3 days, Frankie Edgar got hurt, had to pull out of his title fight with Max Holloway. Dominic Cruz broke his arm in training, had to pull out of his fight with Jimmy Rivera. Anderson Silva pops for a USADA anti-doping violation for the second time. Jesus, that was heartbreaking. Conor shows up to a Bellator event, hops the cage, pushes a referee, slaps an official, like makes a whole fucking scene, is basically like, has just lost his mind. Michael Bisping has that great fight with GSP like 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, or sorry, last week, and it replaces Anderson Silva against Kelvin Gastelum in Shanghai for the main event. Anybody who says Michael Bisping isn't a true fighter, isn't just like the type of dude that like you want to like have as like a fight promoter, basically, like, that's crazy. Fights GSP, a couple weeks later, replaces Anderson Silva in a main event. That guy is a fucking gangster. Mixed martial arts has been a crazy like little community lately. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. But honestly, about the whole Conor thing, he has to face some sort of punishment. And I don't know, like slapping officials, pushing referees and shit. Like, nobody's bigger than the sport of MMA, regardless of like who you are, how much money you've made. Like, it's one of those things. Like, if there's a punishment in place, Conor has to like the UFC has to enforce that as well. So there's a good chance we don't see Conor fight. But there's also a good chance that he gets away with it. So I don't know. All I know is mixed martial arts is a fucking going through a crazy time right now, folks. Crazy time.
A few inches later.
Alright, so some development in this whole Conor McGregor madness. Mike Mazzulli, he's the president of, let me make sure I got this right. President of the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports. So basically he's like, with MMA, kickboxing, boxing, a lot of these rule sets, a lot of these commissions will go to this association for like rules, regulations, that kind of thing. Mike Mazzulli has just said in an interview that after this happened at the Bellator event with Conor, UFC executives were in contact with him. He was supposed to be on the December 30th card, and as one of the punishments, he is now taken off of that card. So we would have saw him fight Tony Ferguson December 30th, but he does this. Now, I know some people will say, well, that's rumors and stuff. This is a president of an association like that's well respected and everything in the mixed martial arts and boxing world. I don't really think he has any reason to spread rumors. You know what I mean? So I guess he's not getting away with his actions, but we'll see how this whole situation develops. All right, good folks. Before we end the vlog, because some things have come up I need to go deal with and everything, I want to talk about a couple things in the Michonne unboxing that just got released on Saturday. A couple of things that I didn't do any voiceover stuff. I just kind of wanted to do something different this time. So the difference is, like, with the black and gray Michonne, besides like the just full colored figure, her hood and like her poncho and her gloves actually have blood splatters all over them. The jaw for both of the pets and everything you can put back on, same with the arms. And the shotgun that you see in the backpack, that can actually be taken out as well. So if you have like another figure like of that, you can put it with that or like lay it at the feet, whatever. It's a really cool like figure set. I'm stoked to have it. It goes awesome with like the other set of the black and gray walkers that I had. So yeah, just wanted to throw a couple of like little information tidbits about it. So go check that unboxing though, if you haven't yet. And that good hooligans is today's vlog. Appreciate you guys checking it out as always. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below. Might not reply, but I do read them all and I give you a little thumbs up so you know that I read it. Let's roll the outro.